Hey, what's up, good peoples? This right here is my delectable wife, Young.
And this right here, this is my best friend, my homie, my husband, Aize.
Since we homies, can I ask you a question?
Mm-hmm.
When you gonna make your stomach stop making all the noise it's making?
How you gonna call my stomach out right now?
I'm
It's
just
supposed
really
to be between
curious.
me and you.
No, but it's very loud. Like that Joan is over there talking to me.
It
Like
is.
I'm doing a video with you and your belly. I mean, that's real talk.
It's trying to get a word in.
It is. It's trying to get a word in.
I don't know. I got some stomach stuff going on. You know how your stomach be like, and the room is real quiet, and you're like, excuse me. That's me right now.
Hey, so check this out, y'all. So when it comes to being in relationships, or being in a relationship rather, or relationships, it could be plural, but you may experience a phenomenon that really revolves around you dealing with broken promises. Your partner, your child, your parents, you may have experienced a dynamic where they made a statement, they made a claim, they said they were going to do something, and they renege on it. They just don't follow through. And so the question today is, how do you deal with broken promises? With broken promises. Now, what I can say is that when you're early on in life, there's an important piece that's at play here. You're trying to develop a sense of attachment with your parents. You're building trust in that relationship based off of how they show up, how they don't show up. And so again, this just the mere act of being present, just the mere act of even giving a bottle, just the mere act of comforting somebody when they've fallen and they hurt themselves is an act of showing up. So that's a promise that's being kept. But if you experience repeatedly the process of you hurt yourself, you fail, you fall down, you do something that's not necessarily the most promising, but on the flip side of that, they turn around and they just don't necessarily engage you, or they break the promise to come to your rescue, come to your aid, come to your assistance and support, then it makes it difficult early on in age to actually form a secure attachment in your relationship with your parents. And so that right there could definitely have an impact on how you engage other people in the world. And so in an intimate partner relationship, you may be walking through that thing with your guard up because you experience not just broken promises in that relationship, but from a younger experience in your life, from an earlier experience in your life. Like you didn't have people who came through for you. And so as a result, you're engaging in this relationship in a very guarded and hurt way.
So one of the things that I think is really helpful is first, as my husband just talked about, getting a sense of your history and your background. You first need to understand who you be. Who are you? Like, what do you come to the table with? Are you already one who tends to be a little guarded, and maybe you didn't realize that, and you're like that because you have had a history of unreliable persons that you've been in a relationship with. Again, whether family, friends, romantic partners, right? And so you already come with your head to the side, like whatever, right? Or are you someone who has also experienced maybe much of the same dynamic that I just talked about, right? But because of that, you find yourself clinging and wanting people to show up and kind of fantasizing and romanticizing how people might show up, which makes you more vulnerable, right? And makes you more open to hurt, and because you're not, coming forward with your eyes wide open. You need to know who you are. You need to be able to unpack that, and you don't have to judge it, right? Your partner oftentimes will judge it. Your girl will judge it. Other people will judge it, but you just need to know this is who I am right now. And as personalities, we can always evolve and change. Our personalities are not stagnant. This is just me. This is who I am. That's an excuse. You can shift and change at all times because you are always in a place and you always have opportunity, if you're open to it, to be impacted by other people and to be impacted by your environment so that you can shift. So you got to know, number one, who you are so that you can first have a heads up, right? For how you flow when you're in a relationship with someone else.
Yeah. So number one, know who you are. Number two, don't blame yourself. We oftentimes think that we're responsible for somebody else's actions, and that's not the reality of the situation. Again, don't blame yourself. That's number two when you're dealing with broken promises. Your partner, your child, whomever it is, they may have hurt you, and they're doing that maybe even sometimes unintentionally. But again, it's not something that you need to take on. Right. So you were hurt, you were offended. But again, it's not something that you need to carry and blame yourself for. That's how you end up experiencing a whole host of mental, emotional, and even physical illnesses as a result of you carrying something that you don't need to carry. So don't blame yourself. That's number two.
And finally, number three, look, y'all, when we come into the world and we start to grow up, and by the time you're watching our videos, you're trying to go to another level, emotionally, spiritually, psychologically, and in your personal development, your story is your story, and people can act as they may, but you are grown enough to be able to take responsibility for how you flow in the world. So while my husband has said, do not take it on and do not blame yourself, and that is 1000% true and essential, you also must understand that you now have to be the protector that you might not have had. You have to be the person to put the boundaries in place that nobody put in place for you. You have to be the one to give yourself the compassion and the love and the attention that you might not have gotten. And you also have to be the one, because nobody might have sat down with you and said, look, babe, people might say that they're this with you, but then they may show up differently. You need to be able to discern and balance between what somebody is saying and then how they are flowing and acting in your life. And then you need to develop realistic expectations about what people are able to do based on what they have done and how they have represented, not just what they say. Because real life is not that everybody who's funky and doesn't come through, you're just going to put them to the side. You're not going to be in a relationship with them no more. It's going to be other people in your life, right? It's families, it's cousins, it's mothers, it's fathers, it's our partners, right? They keep effing up, right? They keep not coming through for us. And maybe it's not calling us, right? Looking out for us, checking on us, right? There's all kinds of ways that promises get broken. And when that happens, you have to be able to go to a place within yourself where you are able to say, was I looking for something that this person has made it clear? Maybe not because of malice, not because they are intentionally trying to do anything to you. They ain't really thinking about you. Just because they don't have the capacity. They may not have ever had it modeled for them. They don't have the emotional capacity, the mental capacity to be there for you in the way that they, in the way that you want them to. Are you still looking for something from them that they've already demonstrated they can't give you? And if that's the case, then you've got to stop it. They may say it, but then they don't do it. So you already know 1 + 1 don't equal 2. You already know they're not coming with it. They keep saying, oh, yeah, we going. Oh, yeah, I'm going. You know I'm here for you. You know you can call me. You know, whatever. And then it doesn't happen. So then that means you have to stand in the gap for yourself. That means you have to put that expectation down and stop looking for them to fulfill a promise that is not for them to fulfill. That means you have to look to yourself and say, how can I give this to myself? How can I give myself the kind of love, the kind of nurture, the kind of fulfillment that I'm looking for outside of myself? The best way to do that, and I will just add this last little piece, is to have a talk with God. And say, you know what, God, it's me and you. There's some places that have not been filled up, and there's some things that have not been attended to. There are some broken promises that nobody else is going to put back together. But if I just come to you and I look within myself, I can take care of it as long as you and me got this thing moving forward. These are some tips for you as you learn how to deal with broken promises, as you learn how to take care of yourself, as you are in relationship with imperfect people who are doing the best they can, the same way you're doing the best you can with what we all have. But remember, y'all, ain't none of this gonna work if you don't stop playing
and start pushing.